Mr. Brian Baldinger.
That's me.
What's up, Baldy?
The one and only, man.
How you doing,
What's
sir?
going on, fellas?
What is going on, man? We wanted to bring you on because, as they say, you know ball.
I mean, I don't know it all, but I'm still learning. But I've got a pretty good. I have a pretty good depth of knowledge of the game.
And while you haven't fully dove into, Shedeur and Travis, the two stars of Colorado football, you did get to see them a bit.
Sure.
And we wanted to get your opinion on these guys' potential NFL future and what you see from them.
Well, I mean, if you look at Travis, I mean, he's the number one player in the country. Like these guys, my friends run the Polynesian Bowl out there in Hawaii, and you look at some of these kids. Penei Sewell played in the game, right?
Yeah.
So you track these kids from high school. They're not just giving them these rankings and these ratings for no reason because they can run fast. I mean, this stuff is pretty sophisticated. And so when Travis came out, is he a defender? Is he a offensive player? Like, I don't think he could really play both at the NFL. But you got to figure out which position is going to be best for him. And then, obviously the injury is the injury. You got to come back from that this past season. But, he's a talented player that they just need reps. They need games. But I think his game and his ability is going to transfer to the NFL. And Shedeur, I haven't broken him down the way I'm breaking down Jaden Daniels right now or Drake May or Caleb. But, Shedeur has had some huge games and comeback wins. And some of the things, and then there's some throws out of the 40 throws he makes in a game. In any game, there's probably 5 or 6 that are real NFL throws. Like they're tight windows, there's a cloudy pocket. How do you maneuver the pocket the way we watch Brock Purdy maneuver a pocket right now? Those are the things that we're looking at that can transfer to the NFL level.
Let's go back to Travis a little bit because I think that wide receiver versus cornerback thing is so interesting. I'm curious to see if an NFL team is going to let him play a little bit. Obviously, he's playing for a guy who did do it on both sides, not full time, but they allowed Coach Prime and Dion when he was back in the game to play on that side. If not, is what he does at corner more rare than what he does at wide receiver, and so it's more worth it for him to focus there?
It's not really a question in my mind of what's more rare. The question is, what's he better at? So, because I think when you get to the NFL level, you got to focus on one thing. Receivers should spend their time learning how to run routes, become a great route runner. Because if you can't beat man coverage, you're not going to be a very good receiver in this league. And so, if you look at, say, a guy like Davante Adams, and you look at, where he was drafted out of Fresno, how he ran, how he became the star player that he is, it's been an evolution. And he didn't have it for the first 2 years in Green Bay, barely got on the field. But it just, the route running, understanding defenses, how to get open, when to get open, how to build rapport, like all those things take time with the quarterback, with the system, all those things. If you said, okay, well, but he also could be corner. Well, you got to specialize. You could, like Dion, he was the number one corner maybe of all time. And that was his specialty. And yes, he could go in there at receiver, punt returner. He could specialize in other areas as a playmaker. And I think that's really what Travis can be. Now, maybe he breaks the mold the way, say, Ohtani has in baseball and just break the mold. Like, that can happen. But there's also, if you say to a guy like Debo, part of the problem with even signing Debo is, are you paying him as a receiver, you're paying him as a playmaker, or as a running back? Because if he carries the ball a lot, he's not going to have a long shelf life. He's just not. You're just going to take too many hits.
Yep.
And everybody's going to break down, and everybody's different. So we've seen him break down. We've seen, some severe injuries to Debo. And it's tough. You talk to running backs, their shelf life isn't a long time. Sometimes they can play 7-8 years with the hits that they take. Sometimes they can't. And so those are some of the considerations, if I'm Travis, because it's about getting paid, obviously, and it's about second and third contracts. And so I'll use your word, does the rare abilities that he have, is that worth maybe a career that's 7 years versus a year that's 12?
Yeah.
Those are things, I can't answer those questions. Travis can't answer them. But those are some of the considerations.
Going back to Shedeur, obviously he's Coach Prime's son, but he's been brought up in this, right? In the NFL culture, he's like learned under Tom Brady. How does that factor into his evaluation? Obviously, we have another season to go, but how do you think NFL teams are going to see him because of that?
Well, I think eventually you see it independently of all of that. You just like the support that Prime gets, and the people that are in his ear, and the people that are stopping by, to talk to him, to advise him, to coach him. Like, that's all good. Like, it's advanced, more than the average kid. But at the same time, it's going to come down to can you adapt because the NFL game is so different than the college game. Everything from the talent level to the windows to the defenses to the coverages. It's all going to be so much different. If you're going up against Colorado State versus the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, it's
right.
So like, does the skill set going to transfer? I mean, this is what every quarterback has to go through. Cam Newton went through it. Caleb's going to go through it this year. Like, they're just going to try to tear you down and find out things that you can't do, that you're not good at, and so you're still going to get drafted. It's a question of, are you going to be one of those high drafted quarterbacks that's going to flourish at the NFL?
It does feel like, though, a lot of times teams go and get a guy who has the bloodlines, right? And there's something to be said about just having a little bit of an understanding, and also someone in your corner who can tell you exactly what to expect, or a lot of what to expect when you get there.
No, you can be told about what's coming down the pike, and it will help you prepare for what's coming and the obstacles that might be there. All that stuff is real. But at the same time, the quarterback position, it's a conundrum. We can't get it figured out. We keep making mistakes at the top of the draft. And so you can draft all these other quarterbacks, and there's Brock Purdy. There's Kurt Warner. There's these guys in the middle rounds, or not drafted, Tony Romo, that can flourish and beat out all of them. So what's the common denominator? How do we continue to miss these guys? And it's not about athletic ability or how fast you run or anything. It's about the position is just unique.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in college football right now. I'm just curious about your overall state, or your opinion of the overall state of college football and where it's headed.
Well, I think like Dion talked about this week, I think teams can handle the NIL and some of the finances. Not everybody's getting paid. Not everybody's making millions. But I do think the portal is a problem, because we're now going to see, starting maybe in this draft, but certainly by next draft, all these kids that just jumped in the portal as soon as the next wave of players came in, or they got beat out, or they got benched, and they're just moving on to the next team or the next team. And you just wonder, is there any development, period? Mm-hmm. Can you go through 20 days in the offseason of rigorous spring practice and off-season training to develop, like a 19-year-old developing his body, that way it has to develop, strength and conditioning, nutrition, all that stuff, becoming better in a system. And now you're talking about 2 or 3 or 4 systems. Yeah. I just think you're not going to get as developed. It's already been tough enough with the practice limitations. Now with the portal limitations, I just think we're going to get a lot of really unfinished products.
That's an interesting look at it. It's going to obviously be a little different in college than it was in the NFL, but what do you think Colorado fans can expect from a Pat Shurmur-led offense?
Well, I mean, he's coached at the highest level. I knew Pat when he was the quarterback coach in Philadelphia with Andy and with Donovan McNabb. He's obviously been an offensive coordinator. He's been a head coach with the Giants. Like, he comes with a great not just a resume, but a big, deep playbook. Like, I would expect a lot of pro-style concepts, under center, play-action passes, a more advanced passing game on third downs. Like, I just think you can see an NFL install in college football, and I think there's a place for that.
CU going back to the Big 12, just curious about what you think about CU's fit in the Big 12 and just, maybe making the playoff moving forward. Well,
look, I think the Big 12 needed teams. Like, they had to like all these conferences have to sort of reinvent themselves. Mm-hmm. And so, with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, there looks like there's a giant hole there for a star team that can step in the way Texas and Oklahoma have always been. Now, Texas has bounced back now, but, it's been Oklahoma. Baylor had their run. Oklahoma State has been consistently good. So you're just looking at teams right now that, it's a 10-team league. I don't know if it's going to, increase right now. I don't know what their future holds right now. But, you know, you're going to get a chance to play and compete against almost everybody that recruits the state of Texas. Like, that's the whole thing is there's 400 Division I recruits every year in the state of Texas. Like, how many can you get? Can you get them from A&M, from Texas, from North Texas, from SMU, from TCU? I mean, all these schools that are there. Can you out-recruit these Texas? Everybody recruits Texas. So, you know, can Deion go in there and get these 4- and 5-star kids out of Texas?
Pretty big name in Texas.
Oh, no, there's no doubt. I mean, look, Prime Carey's – look, I'm fortunate enough to have worked with Prime and got to know him over the years and a big fan of everything that he's doing. And so I don't know if Warren Sapp is on board, coming on board. I'm not sure exactly. I think he's coming on board to coach with them. I mean, he's just, you know, it's going to be a cool place for a high school kid to go to.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, with the Pac-12 kind of falling apart, this is a good landing spot for Colorado. And they were once a part of the Big Eight, you know, and they're coming back home almost.
Yep. All right, well, we got to let you go, and Baldy's going to go over to the All-NFL show with our guy Anthony Gargano, just across from us.
Yep.
So make sure you guys tune into that, and obviously, you know, you can find him on NFL Network and damn near anywhere else they talk about football. That's what I got.
Yeah, he does all my dirty work for me. Tells me when to get off. All right, guys.
All right. Thanks,
pleasure.
Baldy.
Appreciate you, Baldy.
Okay.
Thank you, man.